Hey guys, this is a quick demo on how to use Mockup Generator tools for your pitch decks. I'm going to go through two ways to do it. One is downloading templates and using the templates, and the second way is to do it yourself. In either instance, the first thing you have to do is design all of your flat artwork. Okay, you're going to design everything flat. So if you're going to make t-shirt design, if you're going to make bus wrap, whatever you're making, design it flat first. Okay, so I created this little graphic design 2 logo for us in Illustrator. And then I also created a tall vertical banner that we can put on a light pole or in a store window, in a bus shelter, whatever we want. So when you're designing these things, obviously they're not being designed to scale, but design them to about the right ratio. You might have to make some adjustments, but get the approximate ratio of the thing you're designing for, okay? So I designed my artwork flat, step 1. Step 2, put it on stuff, okay? So this is an example of the finished product that we're going to go with, okay? You might not have noticed, but in Blackboard, under course content, the very first folder said resources. And in this folder, there are a bunch of mockup tool generator websites. Okay, there's also some places to get fonts, vector art, and high-res images. Okay, so some good information. Of these websites, there are many websites out there and many free Photoshop Mockup Generators. That's what these are. These are layered Photoshop files that you put your flat artwork into and they magically look 3D. Okay? So first we'll go get them, then I'll show you how to use the template. Alright, so back in Blackboard. I like this one the best. This is the one that I actually use when I have to go find templates. There are plenty of these websites. You could just put in a Google search. You're looking for mockups. That's the key word. There are free ones. There are paid ones. But you can pretty much find whatever you need for free. All of these websites make money by getting you to click on ads. And a lot of these websites, it's really tough to tell what's an ad and what's the actual content. So just be really careful and be patient. This website I like because I think it's a little bit easier to navigate. The search is crappy. You can look under the free mockup categories, or they're right here as well. Okay, so you can kind of like pick a category of what you're kind of looking for and then just search, right? So like next, kind of go through and figure out what you want. Okay, let's find like a t-shirt. Alright, well that one's pretty cool. It's on a slant. And then you can find like, find a person wearing the shirt that would be appropriate for your brand, of course. Alright, let's take this girl with the hoodie. Alright, so you can see how this website does it. These all say free, so you know it's free. I'm just going to click on the picture. I can click on view details. You get to a pop-up window. This is an ad. Don't click on that. You want this thing that says free download. It redirects you to another website. And this is the website where the template actually lives. This happens to be somebody's Behance portfolio. So now I have to scroll down and find, here we go, free mockup here. Okay. Alright, and then this took me to a Google Drive folder. I want the Photoshop file, so I'm going to click on that and download. Okay. oftentimes it'll take you to a zip file and you'll download the zip file and you'll have to unzip or extract depending on if you're on a Mac or a PC. I was able to just download the Photoshop file straight up this time, so we saved ourselves a step. Alright, so we're going to open that. Okay, so this opens in Photoshop. You're going to turn on your layers, and all of these Photoshop mockup generators work in the same way. There's going to be a bunch of layers. You're going to open the layers. Most people have done a fairly good job labeling the layers for you, but you can always like turn things on and off to see how they change. Okay, so that's the hoodie. If you want it to be, it'd be heather textured, you can turn that on or off. And then here it says your design. So you can actually, on this template, you can do a left sleeve, a torso, the hood. So you can design the whole thing. So this template's pretty awesome. They're all going to work a little different. And then you can change the color as well. Oh, I changed it. Oh, this is like a really nice template. All right, cool. And I can even change the background. Oops, not that. It's background color, it says. Right, so I can put her on a color that is appropriate for my brand. Alright, so let's put our logo in something. This is the torso. Alright, so on all of these, you're going to double click on the little thumbnail picture right here, this white piece. If I double click, it opens up a PSB file, so you can see I'm in a different tab now. This is where I'm going to put my artwork. So I'm just going to do File, Place. If I place it as linked artwork, I can go back and edit the artwork if I needed to for some reason, which is handy. And if I place in vector artwork, I can scale it as needed in Photoshop here, which is handy because you never know like how big these templates files are versus how big the stuff you made in Illustrator was. So that's definitely a bonus when it's all vector. Alright, so I placed my artwork in here. I can delete out their temporary layer because I don't need that anymore. I'm going to save this, so just Control S or File Save, and I'm going to close this tab. Now I'm back in the Photoshop right layered file, and you can see my Graphic Design 2 logo is now on the front of this hoodie. Looks kind of cool. Maybe it looks way too big. I'm going to double click, come back in here. I can scale it down, resave it. Oops, cancel. Check. Save it, close it, and now it's changed again. Right? So that's how these work, and you're probably just going to like, you know, noodle it around till it's how you like it. There, that looks better. Right? And so I could change anything I want on this template because it said it's like this is the hood. Like maybe I just want to add some color. See what that looks like. Ooh, look. It's looking pretty funky, guys. Okay. Anyway, you mess around with it by double clicking on these different layers. They pop up, right? A box. Place your artwork. You save your artwork and you close it. Okay, so that's kind of cool. Alright, when you're happy with this, you can save it, or you can do a save as and make it something flat, and you're going to put this into your pitch deck. Okay, so this cup worked the same way. You can see there's a highlight, it says there's a straw, so I can have a straw or no straw. They labeled the layer for me, which was really nice. Put your design here. That's the cup. That's some shadow. That's the background color. And then that's the actual background. Okay, so this is a much simpler template. So if I double click into here, this is the artwork that I placed. And you can see it's on the cup. And I can make the cup a different color if I wanted as well by double clicking into the cup. And let's see, we can probably make the cup there you go. So now you have a teal cup. And I can make the background whatever color I want to. Okay? So I could save that and put that in my pitch deck as well. Alright, so these are called Mockup Generators. They're going to be layered Photoshop files, which you will download off the internet. It can definitely be a time suck to find exactly what you're looking for, and just be careful of not clicking on ads. Okay, but there are a gazillion of these things, so have fun finding what you're looking for. Okay? If you want to do something more like, I want to design a storefront, I just want to put, up a billboard, put up a bus shelter, things that are flat rectangles basically. Sometimes it's just easier to mock it up yourself from scratch. That's what we used to do before mockup generators were a thing. So we can do that real fast as well. We're going to start with Google Images, my friend. And let's just look for a billboard. Billboards. And of course I can use the tools and find a big billboard to make it look better. And you could download any of these. Let's just take this one for now. Alright, so here's a billboard. So I'll save the file. Save. Alright, and then I'm going to go into Photoshop. We're going to open the thing we just downloaded. Okay. It's really, really easy to mock this up. We'll zoom in a little bit so I can see what I'm doing. Alright, so I am going to place my artwork. So I'm going to need some artwork that is horizontal. So let's just make a billboard real fast. You will ideally have already made a billboard before you got to the mocking up stage. Alright, that looks about billboard sized. Alright, so I just used the artboard resizer tool, made something long and horizontal. And here's my ad. Okay, so we're going to save that. Alright, so that's saved. Back in Photoshop. File. Place. Let's find our artwork. Okay. Now, I like to line it up to one of the edges and the largest edge, so you can see obviously it's like perspective, right? So the right side of the photo is taller than the left side of the photo. So I'm going to line it up to the right side of the photo because that is taller. And I'm going to make this large enough that it is the same height as the right hand side of this billboard. I like to knock the opacity down just so it's easier to see what I'm doing. And this is black on black, so it's a little tricky. Zooming in always helps too. I think that's pretty good. Okay, so I have the right hand side. My art is the same height, as this billboard in the photo. Obviously, the left-hand side is like way further out and taller. So we're going to fix that. You have to rasterize your vector artwork to be able to do the next step of manipulating the perspective. Okay, so I'm going to right click on this layer and hit rasterize layer. So I right clicked over to the right of the name of the layer. In the center here, rasterize layer. Okay, that will allow me to come up here under edit, transform, distort. So that is what you're looking for. If distort is not selectable, it's because your layer art is still vector. So rasterize your layer, then edit, transform, distort. Okay, now I have these little handles, and the fact that I'm faded out a bit through the opacity makes this super easy. I'm just going to drag these handles to match the corners of the billboard in the photograph. So we'll just use the perspective of the actual photograph, which will mean that my art will look correct. So I matched the two corners. The two right-hand corners were already good because I did that with the resizing. Knock the opacity back up, and ta-da! You have your billboard in this photograph. File save. If you're feeling extra fancy, you can definitely take the time to, manipulate the color, add some effects to make your billboard look more realistic to the lighting and the shadow of the photograph you're placing it into. But for all intensive purposes, this looks fantastic, and you can put this in your pitch deck. Okay? This same premise will work for banners on a light pole, storefront windows, interior space wall graphics, bus shelter ad, side of a bus or a subway, those long skinny ads, anything like that. That's a laptop screen, anything that's basically a rectangle at a distorted angle. Sometimes it's faster to just find the background you're looking for on Google Images and do it this way. Okay? So the mockup generators are awesome, but if you're looking for a very specific, scene, sometimes you can just do it yourself. The last thing I'll show you is maybe you have a brand that's going to have a storefront and you want to mock up a storefront. Again, I think I'm going to look for a larger picture if possible. All right, so pick a storefront that seems like it would be appropriate for your brand, right? Let's look at, let's see. This one could be cute. Let's look at this. That would be kind of funky. Here is a pop. Oh, it is a pop-up. Okay. You could do something like this, right? Where it says pop-up shop. You could put your artwork there. Here you go. Let's do this one. This one will be a little challenging because of the window art, but we're going to make it work, okay? Let's do save as. Okay, save as, save. Open it. Okay, so first we're going to obviously switch out this Nike logo for our logo, so we can do that. That's easy, right? File, place. Let's go get our logo. I'm going to use the square logo. Okay, stick that in here. So one thing that I might want to do is replicate this Illustrator file and actually not have the black, because if this was a real logo on a real storefront, just like how the Nike swoosh is just the white as like a 3D piece, I could also make that with my white elements and have them raised up above the black as like metal art, right? So I could definitely mock something like that up fairly easily. If I go back into Illustrator and I open, let's see, this one, we would just have to make a graphic that only has the white showing, none of the black. Let's see, so we'll turn that off. Turn off the black of, oopsies. There you go. That. And no black on that. And we'll just delete that. Okay. So it looks like a white rectangle, but I know it's not, right? It's that. Okay, so we're going to save this as art, we'll say white. Save. Okay, Photoshop. Let's delete this guy. Bring it in. Okay, so we'll put him about like that. Okay. Alright, so then to give him like that bit of a 3D effect, right, I could just add a little bit of drop shadow. Way smaller. We'll match the same lighting angle and the same amount of shadow-ish. There. That's pretty good. Okay. Alright, so we'll say that's good, and then to erase out the Nike, oopsies, the Nike logo, one tip is I always duplicate the original art file before I start screwing things around, just so I can always go back if I need to. Alright, but your friend for erasing stuff is going to be the stamp tool. Clone stamp tool, it's right here. Or it's the letter S as the shortcut. Alright, so I'm going to get something a little bit bigger. Right, work on the hardness, opacity, whatever. Okay, so how this tool works, if you don't know, is you select part of your image by holding down the Alt or the Option key, and you get this bullseye, and you click where you want to sample from, and then I bring that over here. You can see now I have this gray dot. That's these pixels being replicated over here. So now I just click and I paint. And you can see where the plus sign is on my screen. That's the part that it's sampling. So obviously I don't want that bar. So we'll undo. So we'll start again. So it's a little bit of going back and forth and like continually resampling from another section to be able to kind of, you know, get it to look, oopsies, that was bad, seamless. Alright. Alright, so there it's pretty much gone. And then I can always, let's see, what can we do? We can always do a little blurring. Let's do a little smudge. There you go. That looks good. Okay, so if I zoom out, now graphic design 2 looks like it's beveled or like metallic sign in the storefront, on the storefront, right? It's like already looking pretty legit. Okay. So something like this 25 to 75% off, you could definitely make your own sticker right there. The part that makes it look realistic is that you have that tree reflection. So like one cheat way to do that would be you could definitely use the stamp tool and drive yourself nuts. You could probably just go find some trees. Right? That's kind of the same picture as what we had. Trees. Save. Okay. Alright, and I'm going to use my polygonal lasso tool and just kind of select this area. And I'm going to make a new layer, paste some color into that layer, just so that the trees have somewhere to go. So now I'm going to right click, I'm going to do create clipping mask. And that's going to crop the trees into this rectangle that I created. Alright, and then we'll just, this rectangle really should have been probably like a light blue because it's, oops, cancel. Okay, then just make it really faint, like so. And then if I go back to what this looked like, it's not bad. It's not 100% perfect, but now I can put my graphic in there as well. I would probably end up putting, right, like different signage. You wouldn't want to put the logo above the logo, but we would do something like that. And now it looks fairly realistic for 2 minutes of work, right? Like this is what ours looks like. This is what theirs looked like. And I can actually even put that inside the clipping mask too, so I can quickly toggle. Not terrible, right? Okay, so that would be the window. I could do the same thing down here again, or maybe like another good way to do it would just be to make some graphics that fill the whole space. Okay, so again, you can definitely create some storefront, exteriors, interiors, save this out as a Photoshop file, place it in your pitch deck. Also, like, right, we can do things like just color in the existing storefront to match our brand aesthetic, right? Or is that neon green I keep using? Maybe we would have like a neon green, oopsies, put that on a new layer, bit down here. We could do something like that. Right? And now all of a sudden it's starting to have a little more flavor and start to feel like maybe what Graphic Design 2's brand was instead of Nike. Same thing with like this like poof thing, right? I could totally make that green too if I wanted. And oopsies. And you can kind of start to see how this works. Okay, so there you go. Poof, green. All right, so you can definitely use these mockup generators. That's what they're called, Photoshop Mockup Generators. I like this mockupworld.co. There's a whole bunch listed though on Blackboard. If I'm allowed to go back. under Design Resources right here. Okay, you look for Photoshop files, you download them, you unzip them, you open the Photoshop file, you look on the Layers tab, and it tells you where to put your artwork. You just double click on that layer, you place your artwork, you save it, you close it, it magically appears in this Photoshop file. Manipulate the Photoshop file to match the brand style of your brand. Okay, save these out, put them in your pitch deck. If you want to make any kind of flat, basically just perspective, a rectangle with a perspective, sometimes it's easier just to find your own large high res or larger res photographs and put your art on top of it. Like this billboard, like the storefront, like a bus shelter, any of that stuff, right? So you're just going to place in your flat artwork, rasterize it, and the tool of choice here is image, transform, or edit, transform, distort. Match the corners to the corners of the thing you're putting your artwork over, and it'll magically look correct. Okay? The last thing, the key is first you design your stuff flat in Photoshop or in Illustrator or InDesign. Design flat graphics. Design them to basically proportionate to the thing you're going to put it in, right? If you're making a bus shelter, it's probably going to be, tall and vertical. If you're making a billboard, it's going to be long and skinny. If you're making a t-shirt, it's going to be probably square. Okay, so design to the approximate ratio or proportion of the thing you're going to put it on, but design it flat. Okay, if your design is good flat, it'll look even better mocked up. But if your design is just okay, the Mockup Generator might make it look a little snazzier, but it's not going to hide a crummy design. So let's make sure the designs are great, and then we'll put them in a situation and they'll look even better. All right, good luck, have fun. Can't wait to see the finished products.